It's hard to believe because it's so simple.
When you think about using talc or graphite or traditional seed fluency as a way to deliver micronutrients, microbes, other active ingredients, it's kind of counterintuitive. There's two things that happened that brought this to life. One is ion-locked zinc technology and the biocapsule technology.
Once seed arrives at the planter, it's going to end up in this little mini tank. This little mini tank then allows the seed to follow and be created into a pool down here at the bottom of the meter.
We're getting quite a bit of mixing either at the actual seed meter or seed unit, and we've got air blowing through the tanks of the planter. We're getting some mixing that's occurring in that scenario as well. The coverage is there.
What we've really realized is the seed meter is the new seed treater, and we've now created the best coverage system, far better than liquid in furrow for keeping microbes alive and far better than liquid seed treatment.
It's a really cool story if you really have time to dive into it. You know, it's historically how farmers treated seeds. I would say up until about the 1970s, everything was dry planter box treatment. Unfortunately, those treatments were very heavy in mercury, so there was a big move to eliminate the use of those type of products and go to a liquid system. And then around 1980s, the common practice for seed treatments was through a seed treater until Meristem come along. Meristem was able to find the technologies and a delivery system that made sense for going back to the planter box and giving control to the grower. So this goes back many years as far as coverage, data collection. You know, I personally have done quite extensive amount of data collection with third party. You know, Meristem, we really leverage those experts in the industry to work with helping us understand the coverage, what's needed to be done to make sure that we have proper coverage. All that goes into determining what we put into our pail and delivering with confidence.
Our methodology for evaluating planter box products, we are actually going out into the field and we are applying the planter box treatments at the time of planting. So we are typically dribbling the product into the seed boxes, whether it be the seed box or the seed tanks, as the seed's being delivered into that container. This is all going at commercial scale in commercial equipment, and maybe either comparison of multiple treatments in a split planter scenario depending on the particular objective of the trial. And then ultimately, as we look at and think about the seed collection information, what happens is as we start to plant that seed out, we know that at a time point of 25% of that seed coming out of the planter, we're going to go out and we're going to remove a seed tube, and we're going to take some of that seed out of the seed tube into a collection bag that's then sent off to be processed for the individual components and to evaluate what is on that seed at that 25% time point, and then we do the same at 50 and 75. So we have a very consistent process to be able to both deliver the product and then also be able to test and detect, are we seeing it when it comes to through the seed unit and down through the soil. From there, it's all evaluations that happen in field and ultimately yield performance done, not just at field scale, so we actually look at that performance at a subfield level to then understand, you know, are there different offerings and components that maybe have more efficacy in a certain environment or a certain type of scenario that can then guide placement of the product and guide Meristem and the recommendations they make in the future.
Now, this is a really exciting time, is that we now can offer biocontrols. You know, farmers are really facing a lot of issues with in-furrow, insect pressure, stem rot, those type of fusariums that we can now deliver a new type of solution to control those. It's hard to believe because it's so simple. It's technology that we know, it's been around for long periods of time, but now we're able to deliver it effectively to the acre and with confidence that it's going to work.
I mean, the ultimate validation is, do we see it work when we bring it to the field, and do farmers experience success, and we're seeing that.
We were definitely skeptical at first. I think any farmer in their right mind, any seed guy in their right mind goes, man, we've put so much time and effort into these seed treaters and trying to get them really dialed in. How in the world can we do this? And with testing that we've seen through third-party testing from our own trials in our fields, it's really proven us wrong. We're here in Union County, Ohio, and today we're gonna apply Revline hopper throttle soybean MaxStax on some untreated soybeans. We're gonna start here with the pail, and we're gonna release all these biocapsules. We're gonna pull all these clips off. We're gonna start with our pre-fight. So we got all of our biocapsules deployed and into the bucket. Typically I leave the clips here on and I give it a good shake. Make sure it's shaken up good and everything's mixed together. And then I'm gonna pull these two clips off, this clip off, and we're ready to go to the planter. This is what allows me to go to the farm and into the field with confidence with naked soybeans. So we're getting ready to run beans in the planter here, but we want to prime the planter a little before we start running beans. Once we get some hopper throttle into our seed tubes and down in the bottom of the planter, we're going to have good coverage to start. Each bucket comes with a nice handy scoop here, so we can throw a couple scoops in there. One of these scoops does a bag of seed. So we throw a couple scoops in there, and now our planter is primed and ready for us to load soybeans.
Once seed arrives at the planter, it's going to end up in this little mini tank. This little mini tank then allows the seed to follow and be created into a pool down here at the bottom of the meter. So this bowl basically covers that, and when in the right orientation, we'll capture a seed in each one of these cells. And in each one of these cells, then it carries the seed around as this thing is rotating and gets to a contact point where it delivers the seed from the bowl to either an exact merge brush belt or to a seed tube system. While the meter singulates the seed, it positively hands off to this brush belt cartridge, and this brush belt captures the seed and carries it from the meter down to the seed trench. Every row unit that is planting has a line associated with it. We need that fluency type agent to keep that seed flowing here and also from bridging here. There's seed all down in this area where my hand is and up through this bowl. So we're creating a pool of seed that is also equally covered in the talc graphite or the talc mix.
So we have our planter full of naked soybeans. We've treated our soybeans with MaxStax. We primed our planter with a little bit of MaxStax before we put the beans in, so we know that we've got it down into our seed tube, down into our seed meter. The seed meter is the seed treater. We're starting, as soon as we get that primed into the seed meter, we know we're gonna have good coverage throughout the field and throughout our fill up with our planter. Let's get in the tractor. So we've just got started planting beans here and planting our naked soybeans with MaxStax treatment here at the planter. And we're just gonna dig up some beans and see what they look like and see what the coverage looks like. Now it's a little weird when you're used to treated soybeans and seeing those pretty pink or red or green soybeans, but just because they're red doesn't mean really anything other than their color's pretty. So as you can see on here, we do have a little bit of a dust that you can see, or our MaxStax on there that you can see, but you're not gonna see them coated completely. The biologicals are there, you just can't see them physically on the seed. They're a microorganism. We're hoping that you're just gonna see them in yield and in plant health throughout the season.
The biggest skepticism I get about the hopper throttle system is the coverage. It's almost hard to believe, you gotta see it to believe it, but the seed meter is now the new seed treater. As that seed flows through their planter and goes through the seed discs or seed bowl, you're getting more than adequate coverage.
So what we're trying to do with the hopper throttle is really build that big healthy base and that big foundation. So all of the different configurations we have, we're trying to eliminate really any limiting factors we may run into early. We had a cool wet spring and it's been really wet beyond there. So really untreated, we're seeing small, shallow root systems, and we've been able to build that big, healthy base with the biology. That's what we're seeing out of the hopper throttle. And then when you get into what we call biocontrols, it's really making sure we're disease-free and completely healthy. So I've been with the company since 2022, and so I've seen a lot of data from all the different iterations of hopper throttle that we've been looking at now. Most exciting for me is you look at the weather in Ohio this year in the month of May. We have our new MaxStax franchise with replacing liquid seed treatment. And we probably had one of the colder Mays that I've experienced in Ohio, probably one of the wettest Mays too. And so this was really the year to put seed treatment replacement to the test, and we saw no replant due to disease this year. So for me personally and my dealers, it built a lot of confidence that we weathered the May just as good or probably better than liquid seed treatment. Yeah, it's been really good. So we haven't had any issues with any planter that I could think of. John Deere, White, Case, Kinsey, I think all of the above. We actually see an increase in singulation and that the seed actually sometimes flows a little faster. So that's been the common theme I hear out in the field. So customers have loved what they've seen so far. And so our goal as a seller when we go to the farm is how do we introduce this new product without introducing extra cost on the farm. So with all of the components and the different configurations that we have, we always try and substitute cost and try and remove the cost of production while increasing bushels with the different components. That's the beauty of the hopper throttle. It really doesn't add any extra steps. So the only thing extra you have to do is push the buttons, and I hope a lot of people look forward to that. It's a fun thing to do before you go to the planter. So there's about 30 seconds extra that you have to do before you plant. When they're first hearing about how hopper throttle works and how you apply it, I think coverage is probably the thing that people are most skeptical about at first, but once you see it in the field, you can touch it and feel it, you see the biology working. So the replant program is everything. I think it speaks to the confidence we have in the product performing out in the field. So when you do go with a naked bean, you have full confidence that we're gonna back that product if we do see a breakthrough.